I want to say good afternoon, and I want to welcome all participants to our today's webinar about what's new in SAP Customer Checkout 2.0 Feature Pack 0.6. My name is Harald Teppe. I'm responsible for product management and development of SAP Customer Checkout, and I further want to welcome Elena Vavica and Bikash Bansal, who are also in this room. Elena, who's responsible for the go-to-market activities and Partner Edge, and Bikash, who's taking care for product management of SAP Customer Checkout. So we want to present you today the new features that we deliver with Feature Pack 6. We will there give you an overview about the loyalty management that we offer now with Feature Pack 6, the improvements about quick selection management, search options that we offer in the kiosk and hospitality mode. Then I will hand over to Bikash, who will present you the automatic day and closing topics and other miscellaneous topics which we introduce with Feature Pack 6. At the end, we will also give you an update what changes and updates we offer in the Partner Edge portal for you. Good. Then let's start with the loyalty management topic. So loyalty was one topic where we get most of the questions from partners who ask us that we should offer something in the standard of SAP Customer Checkout. And with Feature Pack 6, we started now to offer basic functionality so that customers can be registered for a loyalty program. The customers can then collect loyalty points during the sales process. They can further redeem the loyalty points when they pay. Yeah, they get in a discount. And with that, you are able to reward your loyal customers. So what I will also show you is how you define the rules to do the point calculation. From the process to use the functionality, you have mainly to do the following which we show here. First of all, you have to go into the configuration of SAP Customer Checkout and enable the loyalty management. Then, of course, you have to register relevant customers to join the loyalty program. And then as soon as they joined, the customer can collect loyalty points. So I will go now into the system and show you how you can configure this. So first of all, you have to log in to Customer Checkout. Then you will go into the configuration section of SAP Customer Checkout. You will go into the area of sales. And there you will find a subsection for loyalty management. Here the first thing you have to do, you have to enable the loyalty management. So you have to set it to on, and then you can here select if the point calculation shall be done locally or remote. So in my case, I configured this now locally, and here we offer in this first step very easy rules. So one rule is that you can get one loyalty point when you make a revenue of €1. So this is how you collect or gain the loyalty points. And on the other side, you can here configure the value of one loyalty point. Yeah? So I configured here that one loyalty point has a value of €0.01. Yeah? So 1 cent. So that means if you have 100 points, you have a value of €1. So that is the first thing you have to do. Now, when you go back into the sales UI, and I just cancel this receipt. So then you can go into the customer area and you can register a customer to join the loyalty program. So I take now, for example, this customer SG Electronic. And you will find here now a new button to create a loyalty account. So when I click this button, a communication between Customer Checkout and the Customer Checkout Manager takes place, and the loyalty account in the Customer Checkout Manager is created. So I just jump into Customer Checkout Manager, and you will find here now in the area of loyalty management an app called Loyalty Users. And here you will see all the customers that have registered for a loyalty program. And this is the one I just created. When I go now back into Customer Checkout, and when I select this customer, see 60,000, and I add this to the receipt, then you can immediately see that he has 0 points, and you can see the assigned loyalty account. So when I select now articles, then you see here in the payment section that the points that are calculated are displayed. Yeah, and the rule is quite easy currently. €1 means 1 point. So when I post this receipt now, the customer will get 18 loyalty points. So when I jump back now into the Customer Checkout Manager, then you will see that the customer got now 18 loyalty points. You will also see in the history information about which events created points. The same you can of course also do in the retail UI. So here we have more or less the same functionality. So you can also go into an account, into a customer, and when you open the customer and go into the details, you will also find here the button Create Loyalty Account. And when I click it, then it says the account is already registered for the loyalty program. So I take now this account, and also here you will see then the number of points this account already has assigned, and you see here in the bottom area the number of points the customer will get. Yeah, so when I sell one article of €21, he will get 21 points. In general, the same in both user interfaces. So that was about collecting loyalty points, and now of course you can also spend the loyalty points. Yeah? So when the customer comes again, so I select new articles, now I select the customer C60,000. Then when I pay, I have in the payment area the new section Payment with Loyalty Accounts. But what is important from the user interface, we handle this as a kind of payment, but in the receipt itself it is a header discount, so that it is also legally correct. And now I can, the open amount of €18 is calculated in points, so that would mean if I want to pay the whole receipt with loyalty points, I would need 1,800 points. But I have only 18, so that means when I press now OK, that I get a discount of 18 cents. Yeah? And the remaining amount I would pay with cash. Okay? And in additionally, of course, when I do a new revenue, also new points will be assigned to the customer and loyalty account. In the old user interface, obviously it is the same. So when I take here the customer C70,000 and I select articles and I go into the payment area, then you have here the new icon, payment with loyalty points, and then you can also add this payment, and then you see here the discount. We get now 68-cent discount because of redeeming loyalty points. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. So we newly introduced this functionality now in the standard application. In future, we will add there further rules and more dedicated rules, but for the beginning, it's a quite basic functionality. You can collect points and you can redeem points. So what I also want to show you is, I configured now in the customer checkout system that I use local point calculation. Yeah, so that would mean if you have an installation with 100 point of sales computers, you would have to configure that 100 times. And if you change your rule, you have to change it 100 times. What we also offered, or where we also start to prepare this, that you can centrally define the calculation rule. That will be done here in this loyalty configuration app, and I created here now a loyalty program, and here I can then define that for one currency unit, so €1 or $1 that is spent, a customer will get 1 point. Yeah, so in the beginning, very basic, but it's the start point of this functionality. And then, of course, in the configuration of Customer Checkout, you also have to configure that you use then remote calculation. Yeah, that would be here. You can then define, when I go to edit, you can define remote calculation. Yeah, with this one. For redeeming, currently we only evaluate the local configuration. Yeah, for collecting points, you can switch between remote and local. Yeah, if you configured remote, we will read the configuration from the Customer Checkout Manager. If you want to redeem, then we currently only support the local configuration. Yeah, that's why the second field, using loyalty points, you always have to configure locally. Good, then I go back into the PowerPoint and check if I showed you everything. This I mentioned. Yeah. Payment and process, and also the central configuration. Okay, then let's go to the next topic. Another topic where we got a lot of feedback from customers and partners was how we handle the central quick selection, and they said it's not very usable because there's no preview available. So I jump now back into the system. What we introduced now with feature pack 06 is that you have the possibility to get a preview when you create quick selections. So this is what you can see on the right side, that we offer immediately a preview. I also want to mention currently we only do that, and that will also stay like that, for the new user interface and not for the old user interface. So if you use Central Quick Selection Management with the old user interface, you will not get a preview, only for the new user interface. Yeah, just that everybody is aware of that. And yeah, and then you get a preview. It's not it does not 100% perfectly show what you will see in the cache desk, but let's say 80–90% you will get a good understanding of what you configured. So this is one thing. And another thing I want to mention, when we go into such a quick selection, we extended the quick selection topic by function buttons. Yeah, what was not there until now. It was only possible to add to a certain button an article or also a text. That was always possible. With feature pack 6, we started now to offer the possibility to add functions to a certain button. Yeah, so I configured here in this example 6 functions. Yeah, currently we only offer, I think, in overall 8 functions. Of course, over time this will be extended so that nearly everything what is possible with Customer Checkout can be put to such function buttons. Just to show that, when you go into such a button, for example, here we have the one-time customer, then you have here items, and when you add now something to this button, we offer these 3 options: article, text, and function. And as I mentioned, function is new. And then currently we offer these 8 functions. I want to explain the most important one. For that, I jump back into the Customer Checkout application. So what do we offer there? As one new function, we offer that we can add a one-time customer to a receipt. So this requirement we got very often from customers in the hospitality and restaurant area. They ask us if there's a customer coming one time and he needs a personalized receipt, we don't want to create master data for that. We just want to have a lean user interface where we can enter the most important information either of the person or of the company, so that he can then, for example, reimburse the money he spent. Yeah? And then we add this information to the receipt, and when I paid, of course, it is also printed onto the receipt. So when I look into the receipt print simulator, then you can see here that in the top you can see this one-time customer data. So I think that's a quite interesting functionality. Then we offer here also as function cancel receipt and cancel item. This is nothing special, and in general it is the same as what we already offer in the middle area, cancel receipt, cancel item. What we also offer now, especially for customers in Germany who are in the restaurant area, there it is legally required. If a customer eats his food inside the restaurant, he has to pay the default tax rate of 19%. If he takes it home, he has to pay a reduced tax rate of 7%. And this is a legal topic in Germany, and that's why we included it. I think also in other countries like Switzerland, this is also the case. So when I select now articles and I don't do anything, and I press exact amount, and we go into the print out, then we see the tax code is A2, and A2 is 19%. So when I do now the same, and I go on to function and say reduce tax rate, then you see here the information message that the tax rate was reduced, and when I pay it on the printout, you will see that it's not A2 anymore, it's A1 with 7%. So, but what is very important, currently this functionality is only supported when you use Customer Checkout Manager as the system from which your articles come. Yeah, we extended now in the article management the functionality of taxes. So until now it was only possible to add for one country one tax code. Now we are able to add for one country several tax codes. So for example here you can see it, we add the tax code A2, 19% as default, and you can add a second tax code A1, 7% as reduced. Yeah? And when this is maintained and the user is pressing the button of reduce tax, then we select the tax code with the lower rate. Okay. Of course, you can also, when you do that and you click on function, if you press reduce tax and then the customer decides to eat in the restaurant, then you can of course also jump back to the default tax. Another possibility we offer here as a function button is move point of sales. So if you have a huge installation with 50, 100 or more point of sale system, then in general you have somewhere in the stock a replacement point of sales. If something is broken, you just take the point of sales computer out of your warehouse, put it to the place where it shall be, and then you have to move the point of sales system to the according org structure. Yeah? Until now, this was only possible when you went into the Customer Checkout Manager, went here into organizational structure, and then it was possible to move from here point of sales computers to another point of sales group. Yeah? Now we are also able to do that directly from the cash desk. Yeah? So now I moved the cash desk to another point of sales group. And this is very important for revenue and so on, for sales reporting and so on. Okay, so that's more or less the function buttons, and just to give also an outview into the future, or an outlook into the future, we will bring more and more function buttons like that, and also we will extend the concept so that we can not only configure this right part. In general, we also want to be able to configure the middle part and even the left part. Yeah, so and then we will deliver templates, yeah, pre-delivered from SAP, but partner and customer can really define which buttons he wants to use with which functions. Then I go back into the presentation. I think I mentioned everything that is shown here. Then we come to the next topic. We extended Customer Checkout in the new user interface, which is currently available for kiosk and hospitality. with search options. Until now this was only available in the old user interface. So we have here now the new button with this magnifying glass, and when you click on it you will see the objects we currently support. So this is customer, article, receipt and voucher. And when you click on it you will get a nice search window. Yeah, we also offer a keyboard, a touch keyboard, so that you can use it from a touch point of sale system. And different as in the old UI in the beginning, the table is empty, so the list is empty. Yeah, to improve the performance. Otherwise, we first have to fetch the data from the database. Yeah, and if you have 5 million customers or 500,000, this will not really help. And then you can, exactly like in the old user interface, you can enter your search criteria, or you can just press search and then you will find the information. Further, of course, we also support advanced search like in the old UI. You can press plus, then you can select about which detail you want to search, for example last name, and then you can type in here the last name. You can also add further criteria, so this is, we even did not support with the old UI. Yeah, so now I can enter the last name and the name. What is further important, we offer this dialog settings in the configuration of customer checkout, and this we still support. Yeah, so it is still the same if you use the old user interface or the new user interface. Okay? Good. I just check if I mentioned everything. Yeah, one further topic I missed. You saw in the new user interface that we are now able with feature pack 6 also to select a customer. Until now this was not possible. We only could sell anonymous. With feature pack 6 we now also support that. To enable this you have to go into the configuration, into the area of point of sale system, and there you have the area of sales screen, and here you find the option to activate show customer selection on kiosk and hospitality UI. As soon as you activate this, you will be able to see this area where you can select by pressing on it. You can search for customers and you can add a customer to a receipt. What we are currently not yet able is to create customers and to edit customers from the new user interface. Hopefully will come soon in the future. Okay, good. Now I would like to hand over to Bikash, who can give you an overview about further topics that we deliver with feature pack 6.
So the topics that I will start with are, the first one is automatic day-end closing. So I will first show you what do we have for automatic day-end closing. First, let's look into the configuration setting. So for configuration, when you go into configuration accounting, you will see a completely new tab in feature pack 6, which is called day-end closing settings. The first 3 options that you see here were already existing. We just moved it from the sales sub-tab into this new tab so that everything around day-end closing is organized in one place. Below, you see the new settings for automatic day-end closing. So what is automatic day-end closing? Earlier, there was this day-end closing option which you used to do manually. So the cashier has to count the money at the end of the day. He has to input the money that he is counting, and then in the last step he can say how much money there is in the box, how much he is withdrawing, and you finish the day-end closing process. This remains as it is. So whatever functionality was there, this will exist. On top of that, we now provide an automatic day-end closing, which means that you can decide that you do not want this manual process. You do not want the manual process of counting the money. The system should do it for you, and the money should match. So if the system expects 100 euro in the box, then it will automatically count 100 euro for you and put this money in day end closing so that there is no cash balancing created. By default, everything is switched off. If you upgrade to feature pack 6, nothing is enabled for you. But if you want, then you can enable automatic day end closing like the way I did now. Then you can say what should happen when the day end closing happens. Should the money be left in the box or should the money be withdrawn from the box? So I will say the money should be withdrawn from the box. All money should be taken out. Then you can decide how often the automatic day end closing should happen. So I have now scheduled it for daily, and I have said that it should happen at 2:30 p.m. my time zone. And with all this, I can save this setting. So now what happens? When will the day end closing, automatic day end closing happens? It happens at 2:30 p.m. if you will create a new transaction. It can be a receipt, it can be a cash in, cash out, any kind of new transaction. It checks if a automatic day end closing is pending. If yes, then it will perform a day end closing for you. Or when you do receipt sync, if you have scheduled a receipt sync, at that time also an automatic day end closing will happen for you. Also during the system startup, an automatic day end closing can happen for you. So now let's look into the system, and you can see that for me, there was an automatic day end closing that happened somewhere at 2:11, and now it is scheduled for 2:30, which means if I wait for approximately 1 more minute and if I would create a transaction, then an automatic day end closing will happen for me. I will show you this, but together with automatic day end closing, I want to also show you automatic shutdown, because in general these topics are related. So when you will schedule an automatic day end closing, you might also schedule an automatic shutdown. For example, if you are in a business which is happening only 1 day in a week, then you would want that at the middle of the night, let's say at 2 p.m., there is an automatic day end closing, and at 2:30 p.m. the system is shut down. To support this, in the technical, we have again a completely new sub-tab which is called shutdown setting. Here again, by default, everything is disabled, but if you want, then you can enable it that a shutdown should happen. It should happen daily, and you can then configure the time when it should happen. And you can also decide what the shutdown should be. Should it take a backup and do a complete shutdown of your POS machine or your laptop, or should it just take a backup and shut down only SAP Customer Checkout? Yeah. So you can see the various options that are there. We would of course suggest you that you schedule backup plus shutdown. Now as you see, the time is already 2:31 in the German time zone. So I expect that if I now create a new receipt or a new transaction, and now the transaction is finished, I expect then that an automatic day end closing also would have happened. So let me look into now day end closing, and you can see here that an automatic day end closing happened, which is easy to identify because we introduced a new status called closed automatically, and you can see that this happened at 2:30 p.m. I will now switch to SAP Customer Checkout Manager to show you this automatic day end closing. So it is still seen in the same place, sales summary. In the sales summary, when I go in the sales summary, you can see here we introduce a new flag, automatic day end closing, which is checked marked, so that it is easy for you to identify that this was an automatic day end closing. If you will go to currency, then you can see that the system automatically counted the money for you. So it counted €17.85 for you, and it matched it with the money so that there was no cash balancing, for example, created. So this was the first topic about automatic day end closing, and related to it is the automatic shutdown.
Probably one addition from my side why we implemented this topic. We got a lot of feedback from huge installation that said for our cashiers it's the day-end closing process that you offer is too complex. Yeah, we don't want to use that. Yeah, and in general, what they do, the cashier just ends the day. Yeah, he counts his money, writes the sum onto a paper, and then essentially they go into the customer checkout manager, check the data there, and identify differences. Nevertheless, still customer checkout has to close the day. Yeah, and this is what is the intention of the automatic cash disclosing. Yeah, that the cashiers don't have to do this manual process anymore if needed. Yeah, of course you should, before you implement that, you should really think if this fits to your processes and your requirements, and only enable this if it's really needed. Okay?
Okay, perfect. So we jump now to the second topic, which is receipt exports. So as the name suggests, you can see in Customer Checkout Manager, we have a completely new app, which is called Receipt Export. When I go in this app, basically what you can do here is you can export the data of your receipt and download this for you. What you can specify here, you can specify from which POS system or which POS group do you want to download the data. So you can decide which specific data you want to download. You can identify the time frame from which month to which month, for example, or which date to which date you want to download this data. And then you have two formats in which you can download this data. Yeah. In some countries, it is also a legal requirement that when a tax officer will come to your store, then he can ask you for a download of all transactional data. And in that kind of a use case, it would be extremely useful for you that you can come to the Customer Checkout Manager and download this data. So as you see here, there are two formats that we support. The first format is the JSON format. I will quickly start an export here, and you can see that it is a job, so that if you have mass number of entries, then it is not a problem. And a download of 8 receipts have taken place. I will now download this file and look into this file. You can see there are 3 files. First is the README file. As you can expect, the README file just explains you what is downloaded. Then there is a schema file which explains you the whole schema of the transaction. And you can see that this is a huge file, which means we download here almost all information about a receipt which is stored in the database. And finally, you have the JSON file itself, which is the data. And you can see here that for this 10 receipt, quite some data was downloaded. So this format is typically for people who want all data, who might take this data and process it in another software to make some sense out of it. Yeah, because this JSON data is not something a human can easily read and understand. The second format that we support is the IDEA format. So IDEA software solution is used by some government tax authority, and they use this software to do their compliance and statistical checks. So we download the data also in the IDEA format so that you can upload the data in the IDEA software. I will now start a download for the IDEA format and will show you what does it consist of. Here again you see the same number of transactions were downloaded. And here you see we do not, though there are no more number of files, we do not download as much data as in the JSON format. I have already opened up 2 such files. One is the index file and one is the DTD file. In the index file, we explain you everything. What has been downloaded, what format it is in, and what does that data mean. DTD is a technical description which you can upload in the system, and along with that you then have all the data. So for example, you have receipt header data. These are not hundreds of fields, but only approximately 10 to 20 fields about receipt data. Then sales item, tax item, payment item, loyalty item, debtor item is your payment on credit, and also only those customers which were part of this receipts, and those articles which were part of the receipt. So first let me open the index file and show you. And you can see here in the index file, for the file receipt header data.csv, we export receipt ID, transactional date, transaction time, customer ID, and some more data. And you can see that what format it is in, what is the length, maximum length, and what is the description, all is provided to you. DTD, as I said, is more of a technical file which is used by the system which processes all these files. Now let me open for you one such file, for example, sales item data. You can see here we have some information, most important information about the sales item, and then in the end the ID of the receipt that it belongs to, so that a foreign key relationship between the header data and the sales item data can be established. Okay, so this was all about receipt export in Customer Checkout Manager. But we very well know that not all of our customers are using Customer Checkout Manager. So if you are not using Customer Checkout Manager, you can do exactly the same thing also in Customer Checkout. And you can do this for all three user interface modes of Customer Checkout. So in Customer Checkout, you have also the option of receipt export. The user interface and the functionality that you see here is an exact replica of the functionality that you see in Customer Checkout Manager. Only thing that you do not see here is the opportunity to select the POS system and the POS group. So it's clear when you do it from the Customer Checkout, you are doing it only for that specific POS system. And if you do it from SAP Customer Checkout Manager, then you can do it for all the systems. Okay, so I don't have to do you a demo of this functionality because it is a replica of the same functionality as in Customer Checkout Manager.
So probably again one addition from my side for our German partners and customers. So in Germany there is since the beginning of 2018 a so-called law called or extension of a law called Kassennachschau, and until now, or also in former years, we offered a note where we described how you can export the data of your customer checkout system in a CSV format and then hand this data over to a tax authority, for example. Yeah. We had some complaints here that they said, yeah, this, although there's no legal law to offer the data in this idea format, they complained, yeah, the format that you offer is not conform. We have to transform it and so on, and that's why we decided to offer this in idea format, because at least for Germany, 90% of the tax auditors use this software, and then they should be able to just import it without long discussions.
Okay, perfect. So now we jump into the third topic that I wanted to show you, and the topic is about SAP Customer Checkout Manager, and that you can configure what apps do you see in Customer Checkout Manager. So first, for that, I will go into the Roles app. You see how the Roles app is looking now. It is in the master detail pattern. I will quickly switch to SAP Customer Checkout Manager, which was 2.0 Feature Pack 5. So you see, in Feature Pack 5, it was a table format in which all the different roles were displayed. We switched from the table format to the master detail format that you also see in all other applications of ours. And what we have done here, along with introducing this new user interface in the master detail pattern, we also introduced here a third tab which is called Applications. Now, what is this third tab? I go back to the home page. Each of these apps that you see here, sometimes also referred as tiles, all of these apps you can see in there. Yeah, so approximately 40 of them. If you go inside one of them, these are also individual apps that you can configure. So I go back to the roles user interface, and you can see here in the roles user interface, this is exactly the same list of apps which have been grouped together so that it is easy for you to use. To save time, I now created a new role which is called Manager Limited Access. You can see that in this role, everything I have set as no, which means that the manager will not be able to see any of these apps except receipt export and sales summary. Let's say someone is working in your organization who has to do only with business transactional data, then this would be this limited manager that I created with these 3 apps assigned. Also, to save time, I created a user ML0001, and this user I assigned him the role limited manager. So what I will do now, you see here I am logged in with the admin user, and the admin user can see everything. So I will now log out and I will log in with this new user, which was limited manager, and you can see here all the other apps for this limited manager user has disappeared, and he can only see those apps which have been assigned to him. So this was a request which we were getting very often, so that you can segregate users based on what their role is inside the company. And now with this applications assignment to user, you can exactly achieve that. Okay, so that was the third topic that we wanted to show you. There is one last topic that I will show you, because we have 2-3 more minutes, and then we jump into the other part of this webinar. The last topic that I will show you is again in Customer Checkout Manager. So I will have to switch my user. And these are some of the changes that we made for reporting. So first of all, you can see here we have a completely new app which is called Report Monitoring Reports. Here you have various combinations, but there is only one that I will now talk about. We have here a report which is called Based on POS System Status. Let me first execute this report for you and then explain it to you. As you know, if you are using Customer Checkout Manager, all your customer checkout can continuously talk to the manager and send it information that I am alive, that I am running fine. And this is exactly what has happened here. I have several point of sale that were configured, but you see in this report offline, which means all these POS systems are offline. They are not running. All the 3 POS systems are online. They are running. Since when are they running? This I can decide here. So if I put here 600 seconds, this means this 3 POS systems in the last 10 minutes, they informed the manager that we are alive. If I will heavily change this time to I don't know how many seconds or minutes or hours now, you can see that nothing was online, because all these POS systems I have used it in the last 2-3 days. In the same way, we also have other reports based on POS system, based on messages, based on event groups. But I will not go into details of it because most of them are self-explanatory. Then in Customer Checkout also we made some enhancements in reporting, and I can briefly show you that. This is to do with our caching up functionality. So in the caching up functionality, earlier this was a fixed list that you can print. I hope you can see this drop down. Earlier you used to print caching up. So before I print, I have a simulator. I will clean this print simulator and I will print now, and you can see that information about some transaction is now printed in the printer. This is what was already available to you in Feature Pack 5. What we did in Feature Pack 6 is we extended it so that you can not only see the reports for your POS system, but you can also see it for your POS group, for your user. You can see your revenue per article. You can see revenue per period. A lot of this data is also coming from Customer Checkout Manager. So if you are not using Customer Checkout Manager, for example, you will not be able to use caching up report for POS group, because this information comes from the manager. Yeah. So these are the enhancements that we did for reporting. But in general, these are not all the enhancements that we have done in Customer Checkout. These are approximately 7 enhancements that Harald and I talked about. We have done more such enhancements. All those enhancements are mentioned in the PowerPoint presentations that have been shared by our marketing team. So with this, we come to an end to the first part of this webinar, where we talked about new functional development that we have done. But that's not all. We have also spent a lot of effort in ramping up our GTM activities and our Partner Edge portal. And this is where I would now go and spend a couple of minutes on that. So I hope all of you are aware of our Partner Edge page. So if you go to Partner Edge page, you also find the Customer Checkout. We have more than 130 different assets there. And what we have recently added is product videos, a request which we got almost from everyone. So you can see here in the first page itself, we have now product videos, which gives you an overview of the Customer Checkout, overview of user interface modes, and then a demo of all the 3 user interface modes that we support: retail, kiosk, and hospitality. Yeah, it's fully recorded video with voice and everything else, so that you can follow and understand this functionality which we have developed. In total, that is approximately 2 hours of video that helps you to understand the product functionality. In case you are not able to run the video, it's no problem. We also have demo slides. So if I go in the product videos, just below the 5 video, we also have here demo slides. So you can also show all this functionality to your end customer in slide format. These are 61 slides, so it covers almost a lot of our functionality that we offer for each user interface modes. The second requirement that we heard from a lot of you was about demo setup. So we used to do a lot of demo, and then you used to come back to us saying that how can we do such a demo? And it was not that straightforward for you to set up such a demo environment. That is why we have delivered again in Partner Edge some content. The first content is a material to set up demo environment. So if you use this material, you have ready-made demo environment for retail mode, for kiosk mode, for hospitality mode. You also have tools to create data in Customer Checkout Manager. We also recorded a video which tells you step by step what to do. So in this video, the presenter is doing the steps together with you so that you can also do the same steps. All the feedback that we have received is that in 60 minutes, you are able to set up such a demo environment end to end with all different user interface modes. I hope this helps you to set up your demo environment so that you can do good demos to your customer. The next thing that I want to talk about is our SAP Community Page. A lot of partners are writing mails to us in our inbox, customer.checkout@sap.com. We are moving away from our inbox to SAP Community. And you can see that our community is already pretty active. We have 201 questions in the community which have been asked and already answered. But please remember that community is a collaboration. So you as partners should also be contributing by answering questions from other partners. So the main key message to you is, if you have a question, do not write to us in our inbox, because most probably that is not monitored anymore. Please write or please create your question in the community so that other experienced partners can answer, or our team is also keeping an eye on the community page and we will answer your questions. And you can see that already 201 questions have been answered in a short time. The other point in the community is that you can write blogs. for the topics which we heard from you. Very often we already wrote a lot of blogs. So for example, a blog about how your customer landscape will look like, or a blog about what interaction Customer Checkout is doing with Business One. So all interaction between Customer Checkout Business One is explained in the blog. A list of all features that we support so that you can quickly present it to your customer, or how to install multiple Customer Checkout, how to install multiple Customer Checkout managers in one system. Very often we get questions about credit card EFT terminal. How do we support this integration? What are the different options you have? All these topics have been very detailed, explained by us in blogs. We know there are still some missing topics which we will continue to add. There is only one block that I want to go in detail and show you, is the enablement block, because we get this question repeatedly. Here in this blog we wrote almost everything about how to get yourself enabled. So you can read this blog and know every possible channel that exists for you to get enabled. Again, blog is a topic which not only our team has to write, you can see that other partners are also writing blogs. So you as partner community are also most welcome to write blogs about topics that you think you can share knowledge about. Last thing to mention is our customer success stories. You can see that we have already 9 customer success stories, but I believe that's not enough. We have more than 230 customers. So if you and your customer is interested in creating a customer success story, please get in touch with us and we can help you in creating such a customer success story. It also brings the partner name here. It is there in the partner edge, and it is also a good marketing activity for you as a partner. So that was all that we wanted to present to you about enablement or the changes that we made to Partner Edge and community. With this, I would say the first part of the webinar is now over.